Yo, I am so excited to start talking about this new music today. Oh my gosh. Great weekend for music this past weekend. I'm excited to talk about it. Very excited. In fact, I'm so excited that I treated myself to an entire bag of Moe's chips. And when I say a bag, I mean like the kind that like they you find at like a catering thing, like cuz last night I was just like really feeling chips, like tortilla chips, and I was like, "Yo, I wonder if Moe's sells just the bags because I've been to like parties or like events at Penn State where they had a cater where they had Moe's cater and they had these big ass bags and I love Moe's chips. So I was like, yo, I wonder if I can just buy just the bag of chips. So that's exactly what I did. I bought lunch from Moe's, just like a chicken quesadilla, and I had the lady comes out with a chicken quesadilla and then this big ass bag of chips. I'm so happy. So if I just randomly pause at any point, I'm probably eating a chip. It's right by my feet right now. All right. So New Music Monday. This is going to be an interesting, or at least a different week, because I'm going to actually start off with singles because I want to. There's one album, two albums I'll talk about. One I'm going to spend a good amount of time on, which I'll elaborate on later. And the singles were okay. There were a couple singles I want to talk about, and then I just thought that the singles were more underwhelming compared to the albums, and then the other projects slash deluxes that I'll talk about. So I'm going to start with singles today. So if you don't want to listen to the singles, skip this part. I probably won't spend too much time on it, but if you're on YouTube, timestamps. And yes, let's get into it. So first single that I want to talk about is called Play Fight by, excuse me. God, voice cracks already. I need more water. First song is called Play Fight by They, spelled They, excuse me, featuring Tinashe. And this song is the first song I'm mentioning because it was probably my least favorite song I'm going to talk about today, even though I do like it. And it's just to overarching describe it. It's a pretty cheap, like low level pop R&B song. If you're not familiar with the music that They makes, that's a odd sentence to say, but the music that they make kind of cheap, low, just like very easily accessible pop R&B songs. And then Tinashe, you probably heard her years ago with Two On, but she's kind of fallen off since that single, or I shouldn't even say fallen off because she wasn't really that highly regarded as an entire artist in the first place. But this, in terms of this song, Tinashe's her feature is very awesome. I like it a lot. Go listen to her last album, which was released last year, called Songs for You. I actually liked it a lot. There are a few good songs on it. But anyway, back to this song. It's like I said, it's pretty cheaply made, and by that I mean like it's very, I don't know. It sounds like every pop R&B song that you can hear on the radio. It's not very special. There's nothing really crazy going on with it, but it's really catchy, and I kind of like it. I'm not gonna, I'm not like running to it every time I go listen to music, but it's good. It's good enough. Second song I want to talk about is called Good and Plenty, and it's by three people, by Alex Isley, Masego, and Jack Dine. Alex Isley and Jack Dine are very regular collaborators. Alex Isley being an insanely good R&B singer. Very, I would say like soul R&B, more soul like R&B, very slow, very like sensual R&B. Very amazing voice. And then Jack Dine, I think he's the producer. I think, but her last project called, it's called Wilton, was released last year. It's like an EP in length, like 6 to 8 songs or something like that. That's a really amazing project, and this song, is amazing as well. Masego, I'm not too familiar with. I need to look into more of his music, and his contribution on this song is pretty good. It's really short. It's like really short, but it definitely left its impact on the entire song. And again, like I said, so this song, Good and Plenty, is really beautiful, really like jazzy soul R&B, and it fits right in with it. It kind of ended up where all the songs I'm going to be talking about today are going to be mostly R&B related. It's just purely by coincidence, but it fits in very nicely in here. It's probably like the most well-made single that I'll talk about today. So definitely go check that out. Next song is called Night Garden by, oh gosh, I'm going to butcher this name, and it's a pretty easy name. I think it's Benee, it's spelled Benee, and it is featuring Kenny Beats and Bakar. I believe that's how you pronounce their name. And if you don't know who Kenny Beats is, Kenny Beats was the actual name that caught my eye when I was looking through the songs that came out this past weekend. And Kenny Beats, as far as I know, just, he's a hip-hop producer. He's a really good hip-hop producer. You can find him on like a variety of different projects. Excuse me. Really great YouTube show as well, actually, called The Cave. But more on this song. I didn't think this is an R&B song, and I wasn't necessarily. I didn't know what. I'm not familiar with the other two artists, being Benee, whatever, and Bakar. So I wasn't sure what the song was gonna sound like before I put it on. But when I put it on, I was kind of taken aback because it's a very smooth, like, I'm gonna call it island R&B. It's not like, that's not quite accurate, but I'm rolling with it because I'm not the best with adjectives, with using different ones. As you'll see, I kind of end up using like the same ones, but that's like the best, most accurate way I can describe this song. But it's very good. It's very smooth. And again, Benee, I don't know how you pronounce it. Whatever. I'm gonna call him Benee. Benee, I don't know. I definitely need to check out more of her music because she sounds amazing on this song. And I feel like I've seen her before on a song that I'm familiar with, but I'm not sure. But I'm definitely going to check her out more after this. This song is fantastic. Bakar, like, rides this beat. Again, I'm not familiar with this guy either, but he just, like, flows right over this shit, like, effortlessly. It's amazing. It really fits, like, the theme and or the sound of the song. But I think it still brings, I think he still brings a lot of, or a completely different vibe to it compared to Benee, which is very nice because I feel like it's a very hard skill to do, especially with making like a whole song where you have two people that are like two different people doing two different verses that can both bring something different to the table but still fit in the theme of the song. I think that's very hard to do, and to do it well is commendable, and I think this song, again, it's called Night Garden, does it very, very well. And then the last song I'm going to talk about is I actually have the least notes on it, but because I actually missed it, I listened to it yesterday a couple times, and I missed it on Friday. I don't even know how, but it's called Don't Call Again, and it's by this girl named TK Maidsta. God, y'all need to have easier names to pronounce, so you can't figure this shit out. But TK, spelled TKAY, and then Maidza, spelled Maidza. This song also features a girl named Carrie Fox, Jesus, Karifaux. But TK is an artist that I became familiar with based on a list that, again, I'm going to drop his name again, the YouTuber Anthony Fantano of The Needle Drop. Every year he makes these best singles of the year, and her song called Awake was very highly rated on his list. So I checked it out and I loved it. It features JPEG Mafia. Go listen to that song. If you don't know who JPEG Mafia is, he's a fantastic, like, weird rapper, but go check out that song. It's really good. It's a really good I guess you can call it hip hop. And then her other song that I'm familiar with that came out maybe a couple months ago, is called Shook, which is, again, a hip hop track. But this one is, again, an R&B song, or at least an R&B-esque song. It features TK singing for the most part. I don't even think she raps on it, but Carrie does. Carrie has a rap verse. But TK's vocal performance reminds me a little bit of Ari Lennox of Dreamville, if you guys are familiar with Ari Lennox. I'm not the biggest fan of Ari Lennox. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before, but I think I don't want to go too much into Ari, but I think she her music is really good, but her voice is so, like, whiny to me. It's just, like, off-putting. But TK's voice on this song especially reminds me of Ari's voice, just a lot more tolerable and a lot easier to listen to, which I like, because Ari is like one of those singers that like I want to really like I want to appreciate, but I just can't because their voice just tilts me. Like I just don't like it at all. But anyway, and then Kari, like I said, had a decent little rapping verse on it. Didn't really add too much to the song for me personally, but it didn't take anything away, and I really like TK's contribution to the song as a whole. So, take with that as you will. Again, that song was called Don't Call Again. And a bunch of other songs by some artists came out that I tried out but didn't really feel like talking about because I didn't think anything great of them. People like Kyle, Annie Marie, and Doja Cat had a song. Zed and Jasmine Thompson have a song out, and then Oliver Tree. And I listened to the songs by those guys, or by those people, artists, and I didn't really like them too much, so I didn't feel like bringing them to the table here to talk about. But that is the end of singles, and that means that we get to move on to so there are 3 sections. So I have singles, and I have projects deluxe, and then I have albums. So what I mean by projects / deluxes is that we got 2 like multi-pack singles, if you want to call them that. So Joey Badass has released a 3-pack. Drake and DJ Khaled released a 2-pack, and then for deluxes, I have the Chilombo Deluxe by Janae Aiko, and then the Pop Smoke Deluxe. So we're gonna start off with the projects, just for the sake of because I want to, and we're gonna start off with Joey Badass's 3-pack called the Light Pack, and this is really I know Joey Badass has been out for a while. I have a bad habit of never really going back to older works by artists if I'm not too familiar with the artist or if I don't like them that much. So, and Joey Badass is a good example of that because I have not really heard any of his older stuff. I think it's called All American Badass. Is that what it's called? Is his like marquee album. I still have yet to listen to that. I might get around to it eventually. I might not. Who knows? But this 3-pack it was nice. It was fine. I didn't. I added all 3 of them to my library. But they're good. But they're not. It's nothing crazy to me personally. It's nothing crazy. They're good, but yeah, But anyone who doesn't know what kind of music Joey Badass makes, or at least what these songs sound like, these are what I would put down as traditional rap songs, and that goes for the beats that he picked, that goes from the flow that he has to just the content that he has within the 3 songs. Especially Shine, which I would put it, which I have in my notes as spoken word rap, which which is definitely not what I should be calling it. There's definitely an actual subgenre of rap that more accurately describes what this is. But, when I was listening to him, he's, this spoken word with a beat behind it, an instrumental behind it. But if you're familiar with someone like an Isaiah Rashad or YBN Cordae, it's kind of that sound-esque, or that kind of vocal delivery sound along those lines. All the songs are very solid, at least I thought, but like I said, but admittedly I was kind of underwhelmed interest-wise. I know the rap community really holds up Joey Badass as this, I don't want to say underground because obviously he's fairly popular, but I'm gonna semi-underground rap god almost. So for this to be my introduction to him, I had really high hopes. And again, these songs weren't bad in the slightest bit, but I was just kind of underwhelmed in terms of interest. I listened to those 3 songs, and I've listened to them a bunch of times before writing these notes, recording this podcast. But even still, my interest just kind of, I stopped listening to the songs, and I just don't feel the need to go to, run back to them, you know what I mean? But, it's not any fault of his own, or any fault of the of the songs themselves, but, me personally, I didn't love them that much. There's one feature on here, and it's Pusha T. And this Pusha T verse was fine. It was it's Pusha T doesn't do bad features whatsoever. He never misses on features, but this feature kind of goes into the category where it's like, I'm just kind of doing this for, I don't want to refer to Joey Badass as some guy, but I mean, this was like a phone-in performance for Pusha T. Nothing crazy. It's solid, but it was pretty predictable as far as a Pusha T verse goes, which isn't bad. He's consistent, but it wasn't anything worth talking about afterwards. So moving on for those, that's really all I had to say about those songs. Go check them out if you're into Joey Badass, or if you're into that kind of like real traditional rap. Go check out those 3 songs. So moving on from that, we're going to go into the first heavy hitter of this podcast, and that is the Drake and DJ Khaled 2-piece. I tweeted that these 2 songs were mid a couple days ago. I did tweet that, and I'm going to walk that opinion back slightly, very slightly, or at least I'm going to half walk that opinion back. In terms of just Drake standards, and in terms of, I'll say, like pop rap standards, which would be the category that I would put these songs in, they're mid. They're still mid under that wide lens, right? But I'm going to look at this, and this might sound crazy, or this might sound like kind of like I'm cutting up some slack, whatever. But I'm gonna look at these are DJ Khaled songs, and not only are these DJ Khaled songs, these are DJ Khaled songs in 2020. DJ Khaled has not put out an amazing song, or created, or I'm gonna say created an amazing song in years. It seems like, personally to me. I mean, there's some good ones here and there, obviously, but especially when it comes to like Drake, to DJ Khaled and Drake, they kind of been misses for the most part as of late. So I was looking at it from this end, like, these songs are, I saw like they tweeted these, or there was like an Instagram post or whatever, that they're like, hey, like these 2 songs are coming out, and I was like, all right, great, they're both DJ Khaled songs, they're gonna be mid. It's unfortunate that that's just how it is now, but that was kind of the standard I was going with. I went into these songs just fully expecting them to be just like super mid from Drake's standpoint. And in terms of the first song I'm going to be talking about, Grease, the city, I kind of agree. I that holds up. Grease to me is like truly mid. Just like a truly mid Drake song. From what I know, this song was leaked a little bit ago, and from what I heard and from like the videos I watched about this song after it released officially, people heard this leak and they thought it was, I didn't hear the leak. I'm not really a big leak guy, so I'm not like looking out for leaks. I'm not really like, just scouring Google and YouTube just looking for leaks of artists I like, because I feel like, for the most part, artists take their music very seriously, and if it's not released publicly, it's not finished, or like there's a reason that they're not public yet, right? So in this case, of Grease, a lot of people were saying that like they heard the snippet, the leak, whatever, and they're like, all right, this song sounds unfinished. Hopefully, when it comes out, it sounds finished. It sounds better. Excuse me. And from what I heard, DJ Khaled essentially took the leak and then didn't touch it again. Maybe just added his own vocal story, like the We the Best, all that bullshit. Threw that shit at the beginning like he always does, and then just released it. Like, didn't touch it again afterwards. Which is hilarious to me, because to me, I have to agree, this song sounds like it's not finished yet. It just sounds mid. It sounds like the instrumental sounds like lazy. It's just like the beat itself is just like a really simple drum pattern. At least, like, granted, I don't know, I'm not a producer, so I'm not sure. I don't know the exact details of what goes in, of how much time it takes to make an actual beat for a song. But listening to it and listening to the, beats that Drake raps on, beats that DJ Khaled has stamped his name on top of, this is a pretty basic beat. Like a really simple drum pattern. It's really just a really simple drum pattern. and then just like this weird like whining horn loop that just plays like over and over and over and over again. Which, I mean, you know, it's not the worst beat in the world. It's just like lazy. It's just super lazy. And then over top of the beat, Drake is doing his very best The Weeknd impersonation. And it sounds like, I remember hearing it the first time and I was like, does The Weeknd have like a sneak feature on this? And then I was like listening to it more and I was like, oh, that's Drake. You know, Drake is very, you know what Drake sounds like. But you can still hear like his actual like quote unquote accent in all of his songs, and especially this one, but it's like placed under layers and layers and layers and layers of whatever vocal effects The Weeknd puts on his voice for his songs. It sounds weird. It's mid. I'm just like talking about more just to come to the same conclusion that it's just super mid. I mean, there's like, it's like, these songs are like, and this is what it makes me mad about these songs, about like DJ Khaled now, what I feel like where I feel like he's on in his career, where like people treat him where like they can just give him throwaways and then like he's gonna make him a bunch of money with throwaways. Like that's what like I feel like artists do with DJ Khaled now. Like every time I hear a DJ Khaled song with, I don't know, whoever the hell, like my initial thought is like, all right, so and so artist just threw DJ Khaled, like it's just some throwaway shit that they recorded that they were probably just gonna keep in the vault forever. But they're like, hey, I want to make some money, so they just gave it to him and just let it ride. That's exactly what this Drake song sounds like. It just sounds like a Drake throwaway. There's like nothing, any of substance said. Not that, you know, Drake is really known for that a whole lot now. Just more, you know, like, hey girl, I'm rich, come with me kind of music. And, you know, that's just like the Drake default now. So if he falls back into that default, then it's just mid. On the flip side, Popstar is really good. It's really good, honestly. I like it a lot. It's songs like this, like Popstar. It's a shame that people can't wear fucking masks, because this shit would go absolutely crazy in a club. Like, oh my god. Like, like I heard this song and I was just like, got like partial PTSD of going back to the basement at Penn State. Like I can fully imagine myself like sipping on a poorly mixed Long Island on the dance floor of the basement, on that dirty ass floor, taking breaks of me sipping my drink to just Drake's like occasional like his weird ad-libs, like his like he has his new Drake ad-libs in here. And then my new favorite, which is My Girl, which he just puts, there's like a little like verse where he just ends every line with that, and it is hilarious. And it's one of those things where like if anybody other than Drake would say it, they would be clowned for it for life. But since it's Drake, people are like, that's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. It's a good song. The beat is, I call it stank face worthy. Like I heard the beat, I was like, like, you know, your face kind of like cringes up when you hear like that crazy ass beat on a song. Got that the first time. And I'm gonna get clowned for saying it, but this shit is hard. I'm sorry. It's hard. It's a good Drake song. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And a lot of that I put on the flow. I love Drake's flow in this. I adore Drake's flow in this. It's like equal parts grimy. I use that line so much. It's equal parts like grimy and like braggadocious, which is normal for Drake, and then also laid back somehow. I don't know how it's all three of those, but somehow throughout the entire song I got all three of those impressions off his flow, which is, you know, which makes it good. Like those are like, you know, it sounds like he's trying really hard, but at the same time not trying at all. Which is one of those things that really only Drake can do at this point, because, you know, he's way too famous to really try hard at anything anymore. But, you know, we get this. I'm cool if we get a whole album of this, honestly, or things akin to this. And like I said before, or going back to what I said before, I did not think it was possible for Drake and Khaled to make a good song again. And I'm referring back to like songs like To The Max off of, oh god, what the hell is that fucking album called? Not his last one, but the one before it, DJ Khaled's, that is, where that To The Max song is on. Holy shit, I think that's god, just, I listened to that song again because I typed that song in my notes, and I was like, wait a second, let me go back and listen to this song to make sure that I'm not just hating. It's actually as bad as I'm making it out to be, and it's probably worse than what I was than I remember it. Honestly, I thought after they made that song, Drake and Khaled would never make a good song again, but this song is good. I was proven wrong. My only real gripe with this song is that Drake's voice is very oddly mixed compared to like the beat, but again, he's not really saying anything important, and the beat is probably the best part. So, in terms of like me listening to the song, I'm like, all right, that's cool, but like, when you listen to that song for like actually like critically listen to a song, you're like, why is his voice is mixed so quietly, like super quietly, which isn't bad, but and that's they're making money out of this. They're the experts, so who am I to say that it was mixed poorly? Okay, so that does it for the Drake and Khaled two-piece. Moving on to the Deluxes, starting off with Jhené Aiko's deluxe of her last album, Chilumba, which was released, I believe, in March. Released the deluxe on Friday. And this deluxe is comprised mostly of remixes to songs that are on the base album, or at least half and half. Half of it being remixes, half of them being just new songs. The remix of BS, which now features Kalani instead of her, is like a very welcome change to me. I like Kalani more than her, especially. I don't want to, or let me rephrase that. I like Kalani. I think Kalani was a way better fit on this song, just content wise. I haven't heard her, who is another really amazing R&B artist. I've never really heard her like kill a song with this kind of content before. And honestly, when I heard the remix featuring Kalani, I was like, all right, like she should have been on this shit beforehand on the first go around. But no hate towards her, but her being the artist. But Kalani on it is the better song. I also really like the Trying to Smoke remix, which includes Chris Brown and Snoop Dogg. I already like the original song Trying to Smoke. I think it's like there's like a little skit at the beginning and the end, which I think is really funny, and I think the song sounds amazing. And I think Chris Brown and Snoop add some valuable piece to the song. Snoop has like an actual verse, and Chris Brown just kind of sings Janae's first verse, sometimes by himself and sometimes in harmony with Janae, which, I mean, it sounds good because Chris Brown sounds good and Janae sounds good, but like I kind of wish that he had his own verse, but I'll take my Chris Brown features as I can get them. I'm sorry for people who don't like Chris Brown. But, his music's good, I'm sorry. Some of the additional songs are nice, but they don't really add too much to, like, the core album. Like, I could have lived without the deluxe. I mean, I'll never turn down new Jhené Aiko music, but in terms of, like, the entire album, the songs on here weren't anything different. Both in terms of vocal performance and content, they fit right into the album, but, they weren't necessary, if that makes sense. That being said, I do really like Above and Beyond, All Good, and Come On, those three songs. I don't like Summer 2020. I don't like the song before that. I forget its name. But the three that I noted, I do like those a lot, even though, again, they didn't really bring anything new to the table. Also, slight note, I thought this was interesting. She made this interesting decision to put... So Above and Beyond, there are two versions of my God. There are two versions of the song Above and Beyond on the deluxe. Like, they're both on the deluxe, not one being on the original and the second being on the deluxe. There are two versions of Above and Beyond on the deluxe. The first one is a piano version of it, where it's just, like an acoustic version of a song. This one is just piano and her singing over it. And then the second one is just normal production on it. I like the one with normal production, but I thought it was just kind of weird that she put two versions of the same song on a deluxe of an album that didn't include the song beforehand, and then she put them like back to back. I just thought that was weird. I thought that was interesting, but quick little side note there. And yeah, so that's all I really had for the Chilumba Deluxe. Again, it was like maybe 8 quote unquote 8 to 10 quote unquote new songs. Again, like maybe half of them are remixes, so it wasn't anything crazy. And moving on from that, I have the Pop Smoke Deluxe. And what I will say about it is that I didn't listen to it. because it came out last night. And I record this podcast on Monday today, and I just didn't have the time, or really I didn't really feel the need to listen to this deluxe. I'll listen to it eventually, probably. But I mean, you guys, if you guys listen to my podcast about Pop Smoke's posthumous album, came out a couple weeks ago. I didn't love it, the album in general. I liked a couple of songs. I liked a few songs, but as a whole, I didn't really love it. So I wasn't necessarily running back to listen to Deluxe. So sorry, didn't listen to it. Alright, so that brings us on to the albums, and Jesus, do I have a lot of notes for these albums. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about 2 albums today. First one being Ellie Goulding's album called The Brightest Blue. And if you recall, 2 weeks ago, God, I'm already losing my sense of time. One of my past New Music Mondays, I guess I incorrectly stated that she released an EP. I guess technically on Spotify it was an EP. It was 6 songs, and when I talked about it, I took like half the songs away from that. I swear it was 6 songs. I took maybe 3 or 4 songs away from that. The other 2 or 3 I didn't like, and I didn't know that she had a full album coming until like middle of the week last week, and I was like, oh well. I mean, I mentioned on Thursday's podcast, but I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll give it a listen. I don't really have high hopes for it because, again, I'm not the biggest Ellie Goulding fan. And, I was like, I'll listen to it because my girlfriend likes Ellie Goulding, so, I'll listen to it, give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'll find like 1 or 2 songs that are good, that I'll take away from. And, I'm here to tell you guys that I was right. Kinda. I don't like the vast. There are 19 songs in here. It's an hour exactly. I don't even know how she planned that, but it is an hour. The album is 19 songs long, 1 hour exactly in timing, and the vast majority of the songs, like I guess 14 of the songs on here, I don't like at all. Like, they're insanely bland, shallow. They're just like, like radio pop songs, like radio songs that you hear Ellie Goulding on. They're just like all that. Excuse me. And like, I'd listened to some of them and I was like, I either definitely heard these before, or the ones that I wasn't sure, I was like, I've definitely heard a song like this from Ellie Goulding before. And it's just like, So in that regard, I don't like this album. Like, I mean, 14 out of 19 songs I could go my entire life without listening to ever again. That's not a good ratio. 14 to 5. That being said, the 5 songs that I do like on this album, holy shit. I love these fucking songs. There are 5 songs on here. There are 5 songs on this album that I saved, and I love every single one of them. Like, I love every single one. Every single one of these 5 songs went straight to my favorite songs of this year. Every single one of them. All these 5. These 5 songs being How Deep Is Too Deep, New Height, oh my god, New Heights, Ode to Myself, Brightest Blue, and Slow Grenade. Slow Grenade I mentioned as my favorite song from the past, from her quote-unquote EP that she released a couple weeks ago. But those 5 songs, holy shit, like, woo, like those, I was debating on how I wanted to kind of describe this album for this podcast, because, again, 5 out of 19 songs I'm walking away with. These songs realistically carry this album as a, like, to me personally, like, let me put it this way. If I liked these songs less than I do now, I could have come in here and very accurately said, I could have gone completely without this album. Like, this album could have never existed, and I would realistically be better off because I wouldn't have wasted my time listening to it. However, with these 5 songs that I just listed, holy shit, I'm so happy this album exists. Because I wouldn't get these songs if it didn't. They're amazing. I'm not going to spend like too much time talking about these songs individually because they all kind of share the same qualities I like about, like, each one shares the same qualities I like about them with the other 4. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about each single one individually, but what I will talk about is the qualities I like about them. Starting off with Ellie Goulding's voice in these songs, which is absolutely incredible. Like, absolutely incredible. And that's, like, my biggest gripe with Ellie Goulding and with some other pop artists. Like, you guys have a good... I know deep in my heart and, like, deep in my deep in my ears, per se, that you guys have a great voice. Like, I know that. And I hate that artists like Ellie Goulding, to me at least, waste their great voices on just, like, these empty songs, which are just, like, these empty songs, like, this, like, I guess, like, glitzy, overproduced instrumentals. Like, I hate that. Like, it's like a waste of talent to me, and it really turns me off from a song when, like, I know the artist is more talented than that, and they're just kind of, like, underselling themselves, and now they're just, like, just making just like, bottom of the barrel, like, generic pop songs that I could care less about. But on these 5 songs, she fucking kills it. Like, her voice is, like, on full display, and that's partly helped by the fact that the instrumentals that she's using are, like, they're like perfect. They're like perfect Ellie Goulding instrumentals. Like, perfect. They're not very complex, like, at all. They're on these 3 songs, or on these 5 songs, excuse me. On these 5 songs, the instrumentals are insanely simple. Very open, very basic instrumentals. But what that does is that it lets Ellie Goulding focus on her vocals. And in a lot of aspects, it, like, lifts up the vocals. Like, it just elevates them to, like, heights that I've never, that's a little slight pun, new heights that I've never, that I've just never gotten from her before. And it's, like, I loved it. I loved it a lot. Like, even though, even though the production is very simple in terms of complexity, like, it's some of the songs, it's, like, straight up just epic. Like, I might be, like, gassing it a little bit, but, like, whew. The song I have noted here that's a really good example of this is the title track being Brightest Blue and New Heights. Those 2 songs are, like, perfect examples of what I need from Ellie Goulding. Not all the time, obviously, because I don't expect any artist to perform at their highest every single song they put out. But, like, these are, like, the most perfect Ellie Goulding songs I've ever heard in terms of combination of her voice and the instrumentals that she's singing over. Like, they're beautiful. They're some of the most beautiful songs I've heard, not only from her, but from just, like, anybody in a good while. Maybe I just don't listen to pretty music anymore, but, like, whew. They're not songs that you can just, and it's funny, they're not songs that you will hear on the radio. Maybe one of them, maybe Slow Grenade, maybe, but, like, they're just, like, heavy. They're heavy songs in terms of listening, in terms of sound, and just, like, the content is pretty deep, relatively deep in terms, deep for a pop song. They're pretty deep on here, but yeah, I could talk about these songs, just these 5 songs, and I probably will talk about these songs in a little bit under a finer microscope at some point, maybe, but I'm never going to revisit the complete album again, because, again, 14 out of 19 songs are Mrs. Ellie, really? For me, again, this is all my opinion, but here my opinions are facts. So 14 out of 19 Mrs. Ellie Goulding, really? Really? God. Damn. I won't be visiting this full album again, but I will be listening to these 5 songs again. How Deep Is Too Deep, New Heights, Ode to Myself, Brightest Blue, and Slow Grenade. And I'm repeating them again because they're just that good. Like, I just need you guys to understand that these songs are fantastic. And I will be revisiting them for a very, very, very long time. Alright. Let's get to the big boy of this podcast. And if you guys follow me on Twitter, which I'm, again, I don't really have too many listeners on this podcast, but if you, I'm sure, and I'm pretty sure all of them follow me on Twitter, but if you don't follow me on Twitter, I mentioned this, I kind of name dropped these artists, because they were recommended to me by, again, if you missed my last podcast, they were recommended to me by my roommate, by my college roommate, Nick Matteo, and I remember I went and visited the apartment that we live in over like a couple weekends ago, and he said, hey, like, this group, they're called the Aces, you should definitely check out their music, I think you'll like them, they have a new album coming out, all this stuff. It's like, alright, yeah, sure, I'll check them out, whatever. So I listened to the singles that they had already. I think they had like 4 singles out, and they were good, they were all really good. I was like, alright, that's cool. So I went back to this is their sophomore album I'm not going to be talking about today, but I went back to their freshman album, to their first album, and I was like, like, there are a couple songs that I took from there, but I didn't like, in terms of like a whole album, it wasn't that good. Kind of fell into like, I don't want to put in the same boat as this Ellie Goulding album, but like, most of the songs I didn't walk away with any kind of, impression. They weren't very impressionable. So I was like, whatever. Like, I'm looking forward to it because, I mean, my friend who I think has a good taste in music is hyping them up, and I do like the singles that they drop for him, so I'm excited. And, Friday came around. I listened to all my singles first. I listened to some of the Deluxes first that I want to get to. And then I saved this one for last because, again, this is like a full album that I was actually kind of looking forward to. So I was like, I'll save it for last. And holy hell, thank God I left this one for last. Because if I listened to this album first, I wouldn't have gotten to the other to the other music I would listen to. This album is amazing. This album is so amazing. It's called Under My Influence, and again, the band is called the Aces. It's 14 songs long, 45 minutes, perfectly timed album. Perfectly. Mwah. Chef kiss to that. Perfectly timed album. I love it. So off rip, I was already excited. I'm like, alright, 14 songs, 45 minutes, I can get in, get out. Perfect. But holy hell, what a fucking album. Oh my god, I'm getting so excited. My voice, I'm just talking. My voice is fucked. Excuse me. What a fucking album. I have not had this much fun listening to an album in so long. Like, screaming the lyrics in my car fun. I have listened to this album maybe like 20 to 30 times since Friday, and it's Monday. I don't even think that's like an actual, I don't even think that's that big of an exaggeration. I have listened to this album as many times as I could possibly, like the full album, not even like a couple songs. I've listened to this full album like 20 to 30 times since it came out. I love this fucking album. I drove to King of Prussia, which is like an hour drive, and I listened to it both ways. I listened to it up, listened to it the whole way back, listened to it when I got up in the morning before I left, listened to it when I got home a couple times. It's insane. I've literally had this album on repeat since it came out. And when I finished listening to it the first time, the only thing I could think about, or rather, I just couldn't help thinking that this could be my favorite album so far this year. Honestly, like off first listen, I was like, this might be my favorite album that I've heard this week, or not this week, this year, and probably in a good bit too. And I don't want to just I don't want to come here today and say this is definitively my favorite album to come out this year yet, because I needed to let it breathe first. And of course, it's coming up. It's, if I'm gonna say it's my favorite album so far this week, it's going up against like a behemoth of an album being After Hours by The Weeknd. So I don't want to just off rip. I'm 4 days deep in this album. I don't want to just throw that kind of label on it. But it's good. It's so good. All right, so enough gas, enough just raw gas. Let's just get into the actual specifics a little bit more. So, the Aces, and again, I just want to say that I just want to thank my good friend Nick Matteo for putting me onto them. I am forever in your debt for putting me onto such an amazing band and just for putting me onto an amazing album. But the Aces are... slight confessional. I did have to look up what genre you would put these guys on, because, Jesus Christ, these fucking notifications. But, I had to look up what kind of genre they would put themselves in, because I don't really want to misrepresent them and all. I think that highly of them, that I actually did very impeccable. I do research on all this. I do research on the stuff that I talk about, but I did in-depth research on these guys because I like them so much. I didn't want to get anything wrong. But what they would describe themselves as, what I can describe them as now. They're what you would call an alt pop or an indie pop band, and it's comprised of 4 girls. And there's a reason I'm going to mention this next part, but it's important. And I believe 3 of them, from my research that I did, I believe 3 of them are not straight. Again, it's 4 women. I believe 3 of them are, I'm saying not straight because I want to be politically correct and I don't want to just throw a label, like a definitive label on them, because again, I'm not 100% sure. And the only reason I mentioned their sexuality is because that theme is painted all over this album. Like, the entire album. It's just that kind of, like, that narrative is all over, that narrative is painted all over this album. So, like, themes like love, relationships, and themes like that's, like, what this album is about. But it's all seen from the lens of, like, like a homosexual woman. And holy shit, I love it. I loved it so much. I listened to the first song, I was like, oh, I'm, like, actively listening to the song. Like, it sounds good. The intro is amazing, by the way, Daydream. Amazing song. Listen to it. I'm like, all right, I'm like, I'm bobbing my head. I'm, like, jamming out. And I'm like actually listening to the lyrics. I'm like, oh, okay, gotcha. This is what we're doing. Okay, I'm with it. So, like, not only do these women sound great, but, like, their point of view from, like, these just relatively cliched themes are just, like, so refreshing, honestly. So refreshing. Of course, there are, like, traditional song themes. Like, for example, like, like, in terms of, like, relationships, like, you hate when, like, a person that you're interested in is, like, playing games, or, like, they're only interested in you when, like, you kind of cut them off, or, like, you lose interest, you kind of start pulling away, and they're like, oh, no, come back, all that kind of shit. Like, themes like life of fame and moving to a new place. They're from Utah, I believe. I believe they're all from Utah. And then the album would indicate that they're in California now. I can imagine they're a relatively bigger act now, so they probably have to move out there. And, coming of age in, like, a hometown. Like, these are all relatively traditional themes for a genre like this. But, like, they all sound like new songs. Like, they're, like, the themes are, like, reimagined under this new lens. And it's fantastic. It's like reading the Harry Potter books from Hermione's perspective. That's not a completely accurate metaphor or comparison, but that's essentially it. It's the same story, just come from a completely different standpoint. Like, completely different. And again, that's one thing, but it also sounds amazing. All the songs sound amazing. Every single one of them. Every single song. Every single one sounds amazing. 14 songs. Zero, not even a slight miss. Not even, like, the slightest bit of a miss. And, like, I just want to keep going back to the themes because I think it's, like, it's the biggest part of this album to me because, this could have been, if you gave these same songs, or at least, like, the skeleton of these songs on this album to just, just like a typical pop band, like, I'm going to shout them out again later in this podcast, but if you give them to a pop band like, I don't know, Maroon 5 or something like that, no hate to Maroon 5, but I would hate that album, probably, or at least I just wouldn't like it, because, it would just be, like, the same shit over and over again, but, like, on this album, there's so many instances where, like, these experiences that are just, like, very, very well talked about in, like, the music sphere are just have, like, this, I call it, like, a same-sex twist on it. Like, there's a whole song dedicated to developing feelings where this girl, the singer, I don't know her names, and I'm not sure exactly, I'm not sure this, switch vocals or whatever, but the girl singing is, like, the whole song is dedicated to this girl developing feelings to this friend of hers, to this girlfriend of hers, that they've been friends for a while, and they're like, you're my friend, I shouldn't be feeling this way about you, like, all that stuff. And then there's the song Kelly, which, again, I'll talk about later. One of my favorite songs in here by far. And it's, the whole song Kelly is about this girl who just broke up with their boyfriend. And now the singer swoops in and is like, hey, like, like, shit, that sucks, bro. But, like, I'm here for you. You feel me? It's the whole song. It's what the whole song is dedicated to, and that song sounds amazing as well. Content aside, but like the instrumentals are all super fun, super like entertaining. Like I'm just, I listen. I turn on any. You can turn on any song in that album, and you will be moving to it. It's hard not to. It'd be hard not to. But they're all super 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 fun, and some of them remind me of like a groove that Maroon 5 would do back when like Maroon 5 was like actually good and like cared about the music that they made instead of just like, just making cheap pop music. But I'll save that gripe for another podcast. But you can hear that, or at least I heard it, on songs like Can You Do, and I think there are a couple others, but Can You Do is probably the most obvious one. We're just kind of, and there are other bands obviously that have the same kind of groove. To me, like Maroon 5 was the first one that came to my head. And again, this is like, I'm referring to Maroon 5 when like I think that they made much better music. So like, oh god, what's the album after Songs About Jane? But Misery, maybe? I can't remember. But that age. Such to say that it's good. All the instrumentals are fantastic. And I mean, I could talk about this album for hours. I really could. As I was typing this up, I had like a lot of stuff written about this because again, like I spent a lot of time listening to this album over the last few days, so I was just, just writing up notes while I was listening to it, since I was listening to it for a while. And I had a lot of stuff, but I cut a lot of it down because I realized that this podcast would be like damn near 2 hours long if I talked about everything I wanted to talk about this album. But for the sake of timing, I will spare you guys all of that nonsense and just kind of, I'll just mention my favorite songs, and then that's it. So my favorite songs in here, I want to preface this by saying that, again, all these songs, I really liked every single one of these 14 songs in there, but the few that I mentioned, and I tried to like cut it down. I have 7 songs. I have half of the songs on here. Half of this album I have as my favorite songs. And the other 7 that I'm not going to talk about, that I'm not going to mention, aren't bad by any stretch of the imagination. They're just kind of like, again, they're really good, but like they kind of pale, and like the songs that I'll mention here are just astronomically, just some of the best music I've heard in a while. So it's like, when you're, it's like these songs I'm going to mention are like damn near immaculate. So anything that's less than immaculate, I'm not going to mention. Just otherwise, I'd just be naming every song on the album. But songs that I really loved on this album, again, 7 of them: Daydream, which is the intro; New Emotion; Kelly, which I talked briefly about earlier; I Can Break Your Heart Too, which is fantastic. Again, I'm going to say all these are fantastic. Lost Angeles, again, Lost Angeles, Lost, like the word; Going Home; and then Zillionaire, which is the outro. And again, I honestly really liked all the songs on the album, but these are just the ones that I just absolutely loved. Like I don't think I can live without these songs anymore. And yeah, usually when I do these album reviews, I kind of have, or at least the albums that I like, I kind of have a list of reasons why, like, hey, like you should listen to this because of XYZ. But I don't have that for this album because I'm just going to tell you guys to fucking listen to it. Just do it. Just listen to it. I promise you will not be disappointed. Yeah, I really could keep talking. I'm like holding myself back from just like gushing about this album because it is so perfect. It is so perfect. And I will continue to listen to it. If you hear me, if you see my Kia Soul driving by, listen out for what music I'm playing. It's gonna be this album. until this Kanye album comes out, I'm probably just gonna be listening to this like every day. And even when this Kanye album comes out, I'm probably still gonna be listening to this album every day. But yeah, I'll leave you guys with that because again, this podcast is running slightly longer than I wanted it to. But I mean, given all the music that came out, there was a lot of music to talk about. So thank you guys for sticking with me. If you listened all the way to this point, Hope you guys pick up something or go and listen to one of the songs or albums I listened to or that I talked about. Again, please listen to this Aces album. I'm not getting paid by them, but I would promote them on any platform for free, for life. That's how good this album is. Okay, I'm sorry. Have a good rest of your day, and I will see you guys on Thursday.